Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome class 10th in my lecture series for chemistry. In our previous lecture, we learned about Lewis concept of acids and bases. This concept says that the Lewis acid is a species that accept the lone pair of electron, and a Lewis base is a species that donates the lone pair of electron. In our today's lecture, we will be applying this concept on certain examples and certain questions from your review exercise. So, starting from a multiple choice question, this question says that which of the following is the Lewis base? We are provided with four options. First option is that of boron trifluoride. We read about boron trifluoride in our previous lecture, that there are three valence electrons for the boron atom. So, boron form three covalent bond with three fluorine atom in order to increase the number of electrons in its valence shell. Now, since this valence shell is still deficient of two more electrons in order to complete its octet, so BF3 is an electron deficient molecule. Now, since it is an electron deficient molecule, therefore it cannot be considered as a Lewis base. So, therefore BF3 is acting as a Lewis acid here. Similarly, when if we talk about option number B, that is the HCl, then in the HCl we have read before that when the bond between hydrogen and chlorine breaks, then the hydrogen atom gives its electron to chlorine atom, and that chlorine atom has been converted into chloride ion. So when this bond breaks, the hydrogen atom comes off in the form of hydrogen ion. This hydrogen ion is an electron deficient species. So this means that this HCl is also acting as a Lewis acid here. Now, if we talk about option C, that is AlCl3, then we have also read about aluminium trichloride in our previous lecture, that there are three valence electrons in the aluminium atom. So, aluminium share these electrons with three chlorine atom in order to form AlCl3. Now, after sharing these three electrons, the total number of electrons in the valence shell of the aluminium atom has become 6. Now, this valence shell is still deficient of two more electrons. Therefore, AlCl3 is also an electron deficient molecule. So, it is acting as a Lewis acid. Now, we are left with only one option, that is the fluoride ion. In the fluorine atom, we know that there are 7 valence electron. So, since it is a fluoride ion, it has a negative charge. This means that an additional electron is present in the valence shell of the fluoride ion. So, with the additional electron, now you may see here that the fluoride ion has a complete octet. Now, since it has a complete octet and has more than one lone pair of electron, therefore it can act as a Lewis base. So, for this multiple choice question, fluoride ion is our correct answer. Now, moving towards another multiple choice question. This question says to choose Lewis acid among the following. In the first example, we have Cn negative, and its structure may be represented as follow. Now, you may see here that there is the presence of a lone pair of electron on the carbon atom, and there is the complete octet of the carbon atom as well, and the nitrogen atom as well. So since the octet is complete and there is the presence of more than one lone pair of electron on the carbon as well as on the nitrogen atom, so therefore this species may act as a Lewis base. Similarly, if we consider the ammonia molecule, in ammonia molecule you know that there is the presence of lone pair of electron on the nitrogen atom, and in this molecule nitrogen has its complete octet. So this means NH3 can also work as a Lewis base. Now we have an example of water molecule. Now this water, in the water molecule, oxygen atom has two lone pair of electrons, and the valence shell of the oxygen atom has 8 electrons, means its octet is complete. So this means that the lone, because of the presence of lone pair of electron on the oxygen atom and because of the complete octet, H2O may also act as a Lewis base. Now we are left with only one option, that is the hydrogen ion, and we know that hydrogen ion is an electron deficient species. So therefore, for this question, our correct option would be the hydrogen ion, that is the hydrogen ion is a Lewis acid among these options. Now moving towards another question, which species is an electron pair acceptor in this reaction? So in this reaction you may see here that we read before that water molecule is a Lewis base, and in the option number C you have the hydronium ion. Now though it is a positively charged species, but you cannot consider it as an electron deficient molecule in the sense that there is a complete octet of the oxygen atom. So this means that there is no further room for incoming electron. So since there is no room for an incoming electron, and it cannot accommodate the incoming lone pair of electron, therefore H3O positive cannot act as an electron pair acceptor. Now we are left with the HCl, and we read about HCl that it is an electron pair acceptor in the terms when that HCl bond breaks, the hydrogen atom converted into hydrogen ion. Now this hydrogen ion can accept an electron pair. So this means that for this multiple choice question, HCl is the correct option. Another question, in the following reaction, which species is donating an electron pair? Now you have a reaction in which ammonia molecules is reacting with the boron trifluoride to form this adduct. Now you have to identify that atom which is actually donating the electron pair. Now first option is that of hydrogen atom. Hydrogen atom do not have any lone pair in its valence shell in order to donate it to a Lewis acid. So therefore this option is not correct. If we talk about the option number B, that is the boron, then this is also not a correct option, because we know that all the molecules of boron are electron deficient. So this is also not a correct option. Now if we talk about BF3, this BF3 is also an electron deficient molecule, so therefore it cannot donate an electron pair. We are left with the nitrogen atom, and for nitrogen atom we have studied that in the ammonia molecule there is the presence of lone pair of electron on the nitrogen atom. So since there is the presence of lone pair electron on the nitrogen atom, therefore in this example nitrogen is actually donating its electron pair to the boron atom. So for this question, option number C is the correct option. Now this is a short question from your review exercise. It says to identify, it asks to identify Lewis acid and a Lewis base in the following reaction. In the first reaction, fluoride ion is reacting with boron trifluoride to form this adduct. Now you may see here that the fluoride ion is acting as a base here, because as we have read before that the fluoride ion has a complete octet. Fluoride ion has complete octet, as well as it has more than one lone pair of electrons. So this means that this fluoride ion is meeting two conditions for a substance to be a Lewis base. So therefore fluoride ion is acting as a base here, and for boron trifluoride we read before that it is an electron deficient molecule, so it will be accepting the electron pair from the fluoride ion in order to form coordinate covalent bond. Therefore BF3 is acting as a Lewis acid in this reaction. Now moving towards another example, In this example we have a hydrogen ion and the ammonia molecule, and in this example this ammonia molecule is acting as a Lewis base because it has a lone pair of electron on the nitrogen atom, and the nitrogen atom has a complete octet, and the hydrogen ion is acting as a Lewis acid here because it is an electron deficient species and it can accommodate the incoming electron pair. Now, talking about the third example, we have a reaction in which ammonia is reacting with aluminium trichloride to form this adduct. Now, as we have read before, NH3 will always work as a Lewis base, and AlCl3 will always act as a Lewis acid, because in the aluminium trichloride, after sharing its 3 electron with 3 chlorine atom, the total number of valence electrons in the aluminium atom would be 6. So this means that it is an electron deficient molecule. Since it is an electron deficient molecule, so therefore it will be considered as the Lewis acid. Now this question says classify following substances as a Lewis acid and the bases, and we read about ammonia molecule in detail, that it is a Lewis base. We have read about the fluoride ion as well, it is a Lewis base also. We have read about the water molecule as well, it is also a Lewis base, and we read about the boron trifluoride, it is a Lewis acid. So all these options are the Lewis base, and BF3 is a Lewis acid. So adopt the same procedure that we adopted in our previous lecture, that first we would have to draw the electronic structure of each species, and then we would see that whether that species is an electron deficient molecule or if it has a complete octet. If it is an electron deficient molecule just like that of BF3, then we will say that it is a Lewis acid. However, if it is a complete octet and has more than one lone pair of electron to donate, then we will consider it is a Lewis base, just as in this case these three examples, ammonia, fluoride and water molecule, are acting as a Lewis base. Now identify the Lewis acids and the Lewis bases in the following reactions. You may see here that with the charge on each species, you can easily identify certain substance as a Lewis acid or a Lewis base. For example, there is a positive charge on hydrogen atom, so this means that it is an electron deficient species. So whatever species that is electron deficient will be considered as a Lewis acid. In the another reactant for this reaction is the Cn negative. Now this is carrying a negative charge, as well as a lone pair of electron is present both on the carbon and the nitrogen atom, therefore it will act as a Lewis base in this reaction. So this species would be donating an electron pair to the hydrogen ion in order to form hydrogen cyanide. Now in another example, we have boron trihydroxide and the hydroxide ion. Now we have read before for the hydroxide ion that it always acts as a Lewis base because of the presence of lone pair of electrons on the oxygen atom. Now since there are more than one lone pair of electrons on the oxygen atom, and since it carries a negative charge, and since the octet of oxygen atom has been completed, therefore OH negative may act as a Lewis base here. And for a boron trihydroxide, we read that all the molecules of boron are electron deficient molecules because boron has 3 electrons in its valence shell. It shares those 3 electrons to form 3 covalent bond. So after the formation of 3 covalent bond, the electrons in the valence shell for the boron atom is 6. It is still deficient of 2 electrons, so therefore this boron trihydroxide will be acting as a Lewis acid here. Now you have another example in which copper is reacting with ammonia molecule to form this adduct. Now since there is a positive charge on the copper atom, so therefore we can say that it is an electron deficient species. Since it is an electron deficient species, so it will be considered as a Lewis acid, and this ammonia molecule we know that it is called as a Lewis base. Similarly, for the another example, we know the hydroxide and always act as a Lewis base, and this aluminium trihydroxide will act as a Lewis acid because aluminium trihydroxide is an electron deficient species. Now you have to identify the Lewis acid and Lewis bases from the following. For aluminium trichloride, as we have read before, that aluminium has 3 valence electron in its outermost shell. So when it shares these electrons with 3 chlorine atoms, then the total number of electron in its valence shell becomes 6. So therefore it will be considered as an electron deficient molecule. It still contain deficiency of electron. It needs 2 electron to complete its octet, therefore it will act as a Lewis acid. Now for silver, as you can see that it is a positive charge on the silver atom, so therefore it is an electron deficient species. Since it is an electron deficient species, so therefore it will be considered as a Lewis acid. Now if we take an example of methanol, in methanol you may see that there is the presence of more than one lone pair of electron on this oxygen atom, and since the octet of this oxygen atom is complete, so therefore this methanol can act as a Lewis base. Same is the case for methylamine. In methylamine there is the presence of lone pair of electron on the nitrogen atom, and since the octet of nitrogen atom is complete, therefore it will also act as a Lewis base. Now for iron trichloride, it is an electron deficient species. So since it is an electron deficient species, it will act as a Lewis acid. So this was all for today. We will be studying about our next topic in our tomorrow's lecture. Thank you for being with me.